Hello everyone and welcome to this new coffee break live stream. This is the number 16 and today we have a special invitee who just won yesterday the Insanity Awards 2023. We are going to explain a bit what it is later on. So I am with Marco. Hello Marco Vitale, how is it going?
Hi Vincent, thank you for having me.
Well, that's a pleasure. So Marco is a substance hobbyist, as he likes to say. So don't cry if you are a professional, because he may be better than you during his spare time. But that's good. So you will have with Skype, we tested a bit. I had the issue with Vincent 2 days ago. We may have some camera freeze sometimes, but the sound is passing well, so everything should be fine. That's normal. Even it's not that Marco is super concentrated. It's just the camera which is freezing sometimes. So, Marco, well, can you present a bit yourself? Who are you, Marco?
Of course. As Vincent already said, I'm just a substance hobbyist, basically. I'm working in a completely different field. I'm a lighting designer for theater, opera, ballet, so really conventional, basically. And a few years ago, I started to create all my shows and pre-visualization in 3D using a lighting visualization software, and it really makes a huge difference if the materials are not just plain textures, if they are real with normal maps or displacement. So as realistic the material gets, the more realistic the visualization gets. And especially working in a theater where often directors don't know that you can do that in 3D as well. You have to present them as realistic as possible, so they actually know what you're doing. And that's where I was looking for a software which can do materials quite quickly. And yeah, I slipped over Substance Designer and I tried a few things in there, and the materials were good, and I really fell in love with the procedural workflow. And that was my start with Designer, basically. So now I try to have at least 1 hour of Designer time a day, and that's how I do crazy stuff with it.
Well, we can say you made a big sleepover, because you are pushing the software quite far, which is good. We love that. And actually that's funny, because just like 1 minute before we discussed that sometimes it's people outside of the industry, we can say, of the 3D industry, who brings a lot, or even if they are not outside, they are like outsiders in somehow. For example, in Meet Part 1, the contest, the winner, who was Brazilian, I don't have his name, sorry, in mind. When he won, he explained that he was just starting with this Substance 3D painter. That was his first real experience, and he won the contest. But he was an artist, but it showed, so for us it was good, because it showed that it's really just a tool and that can let the artist express themselves. I will make a small pause, change the camera. So as you can see, we have a chat. I'm always watching it, so if you have questions to Marco during the chat about Substance Designer, about the meaning of life, about the future, if he can predict the future right now. No, but if you have any question for him, we try to answer them. So there is already Kelly, who virtually has won the Substance Insanity Award last year, 2022. But our bad, for technical internal reason, we didn't have time to do anything last year. But you won, Kelly. I'm pretty sure we would have all agreed. So yeah, so that's interesting, because as you say, even if you are not working in directly with Substance or in digitally, you are still working in a as a lighter first, and which is super important for materials, and also in a super artistic environment now.
Yes, of course. And I have actually no idea how how game industry works or something, but I think theater is kind of the same thing like in analog, and I love to mix two worlds, and that's kind of my lighting style as well as my preparation style. And
you are programming as well.
I'm that is I think that helped a lot to I love to look under the hood of things, so I always want to push boundaries, and that's what I do with my lighting software, is what I'm doing with my programming software for the shows, and as well as I do this with Designer as well. I think a few months ago we had we had a little contest between Andrei Salenko and me, who is pushing Substance Designer over the edge and who is crashing it more often, basically. And that was kind of really fun. What can you do with it, and what can it take? How many pixel processors can you throw on the graph until it crashes?
Yeah, if you don't know Andre, he's also a crazy substance 3D designer artist, pushing also the technical limit. He won in 2021, if I'm not wrong, the Infinity Awards as well. So you are going to compare like Messi and Ronaldo in soccer, in football, having the awards, but that's a great one. Internally, I just posted on Twitter a few hours ago about the Infinity Awards, and I said that we created that. Meanwhile, I'm going to share the page of the Infinity Award. Here, I think I have it. Just give me a second. This is to announce. Okay, here. So we're going to talk about that. But the idea when we created the Infinity Awards a few years ago is that we were starting people doing stuff with Substance 3D Designer, which were not necessarily related to production or to material creation, even tool creation, but who were starting to be completely crazy. There was like a city generator, and we had this stuff inside where we saw that everyone was, oh my god, this is incredible, and people were saying as well, yeah, but it's not useful in production. And I say, okay, yes, now it's not useful in production, maybe, but still, it remains crazy good. And some of them, of course, were also useful in production. But we say, okay, we have to celebrate that, because there is a spirit behind that. There is the spirit of saying, okay, you give me, and I say in my post, this is a bit like what we call the haute couture in fashion, which means like making clothes that no one will be able to wear, maybe, but that will push the artistry and the boundaries of the field. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. You all are doing. And what we can do is look a bit, who won this year? But of course you won, but we are going to. So we are not going to show too much this one, even if it's the one which makes you work. So basically, you built a neural network with Substance 3D Designer. What happened to your mind, Marco? I want to know. We know some doctors to curate this, because that's not made for that, but you did it, and we're just going to look at that. I think that, and you will understand why is it. No, I want to see the second one. Oh, it's not there. You are going to show. Well, we'll see it directly. But what it does is something like that. You put an image, and it's able to recognize what is the main object on it.
Yes,
yeah, this is a warning.
Yeah, but it recognized the guinea pig, so it ignored completely the warning. So
Yeah, so it's a fail. Because not really.
that one is actually amazing.
Yeah, from Raouf Bejawi.
Yeah, doing the ray matching inside Designer. I told you before I did a ray matcher as well, but I was only able to render a cube and a sphere, and he did render a whole scene in Designer, which is absolutely crazy.
And it's beautiful. You have this feeling of subsurface, and so this is the kind of job. Another one, this one, luggage, like a luggage material complete, which is kind of crazy as well, by Nikki Marinov.
Nikki is basically always a guest in the Insanity Awards list, right?
Yeah, there were some names like that, and even I don't know why. I think he didn't post that much on. Maybe we didn't, but for Andre should have been there as well. But I think he's doing it so much that there should be like we should make like a wise. A group of wise, once you win one, you are not allowed to get back to. You are like in the committee of the wise people. There may be something to do. This one was cool as well. So you have some Italian roots, even if you are German. So this one is from Pablo Blanes. That I have to invite him. I think he speaks Spanish. I'm looking for Spanish-spoken people. So Pablo. Yeah, this one was cool as well from Pablo. This one also super. Oh, sorry. Tell me.
These are all amazing pieces of art, and especially the technicality behind it is. I would love to see that graph actually and see how many nodes he used to build this Colosseum. That was fantastic.
By the way, we'll put the link of the article in the chat so people can refer to it as well. Hello, Hossein in the chat. So this one also Substance 3D Designer build, vector morph, non-uniform blur. This one is fun actually. There is a bit of humor inside of it. Gaudi, Max Kutsenko, because I'm looking at the address, which is from Barcelona, so. I don't know. I don't know if Max lives in Barcelona. I do. That's why I'm asking. Voronov Fractal. What's the price? Oh, 36.59 milliseconds. It's a good graph. No, that's a good humor. That's funny. This is a kind of humor that you cannot make with the family because they don't get it, of course. That's really industry humor that just people can understand. This one is beautiful as well. It looks that blends the material to build this scene. I like the mood. It's more artistic than technical compared to the other, even if it's quite advanced. But yeah, that's impressive.
I mean, the details are fantastic. These small little stones and the sand and the wet sand on the beaches. Wow.
Yeah. This one as well from Naughty Dog, Jonathan. So Jonathan, I think he has been nominated multiple times. Finished second one year. Always the job he makes is always super impressive. And this one, is like the stained glass generator is once again crazy. And it was for The Last of Us, the remake, part 1. This one, who made this one? Yuzan, okay. Hiyuhe. I'm not sure of the pronunciation, but once again, the quality of the details in the Substance Designer material is quite insane. This one as well, this bookshelf. We had a bookshelf a few years ago as well, if I'm not wrong. But this one is pretty cool as well. Super nice design. And Michael Di Leonardo. And this one is a classic, but the execution is super good by Enrico Tamekan. He was in Barcelona actually. I don't know where he is right now, but yeah, once again, a super nice job from Enrico. This one, I think, is from
Gem, I think.
Yeah, Gem Tescan. Of course.
Yeah.
When you have like some retro gaming stuff, you know that Gem is close. It's really goes to his heart. So Gem also, who is a great artist. Gem, we have to talk. I'd like you to be there as well. The other ones, yeah, that would be cool. I made one with Gem, one presentation with Gem a few years ago, and people loved it. And finally, we had also Kelly. Kelly, look, you are here. You should have won. I'm so sorry that you. Yeah, it was like for the Lion King. Just look at. Actually, we showed it. You can look at the last month live stream that I made with Kelly. She explained how they made the Lion King, and that was insane once again. So now
I actually watched that live stream with Google Translator on, because I don't speak French.
What?
But it was super impressive. Kelly, hi Kelly.
Let's continue. So we're going to look right now at your portfolio, which is just here. So lots of stuff and lots of crazy projects. That's what I love, is that of course there are materials, but there are some stuff which looks like being from nowhere. You don't have this anywhere. So we are going to explain all of that. You wanted to start with this one, the lead stripe, right?
Yeah, because that is basically that was my first material which had no actual. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It wasn't usable for any production or anything. It was just me. Like I had that graph open for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months to get all the details right. And it was something. The idea came because I was in the workshop in the theater, and I was lying a 10 centimeter LED stripe on the table, and I just grabbed it and took it home and tried to rebuild it in Designer. And that is kind of connecting my work to Substance.
Yeah, this is impressive.
I really learned a lot about how to optimize the graph. Here in this image, for example, you see that the stacking wasn't so good because it's just a height map, and I didn't want to poke through the other stripes and stuff like that. So I really needed a way to map, not just using a max light and mode, so it was just a real mask and put it on top of each other. And as well as like small surface imperfections like scratches and wear, as well as the solder, which I didn't get too good in that case.
This one?
But yeah, the solders on the resistors and on the small feet of the
still there is like a crazy amount of details. Okay, because if you see from this view, for example, we can see all the great details that you put in. But that's funny because that's one of the people, I think one of the great artists, and is when they look at their job they made like 1, 2, 3 years ago, they're not satisfied. They say, no, I should have done it this way. Finally it's not that good. Vincent was telling me the same thing yesterday. Carol was something, no, I'm not that satisfied. So I think it's a good sign. It shows also that you are all in self-improvement mode, which is great in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, or especially for me, I think if we are artists, and as artists, you are never really, you you're never really finished. You always see, you could review it like 100 times and you always see some little faults and you try to fix them. I think a lot of, or I think in most cases, I think you have to find the right point to say, okay, that's good, and the confidence to say, okay, that's good, that's finished. But it's hard. Every show I see, and I did the lighting for, if I see it 5 weeks later, I see some little things, and I go to the operator and I'm like, can you correct this and can you do this? So it's kind of hard to let go and to say, okay, now it's done, it's good.
Yeah. One of the advice from Vincent 2 days ago was saying for him, that's why he published on ArtStation. He said, okay, this way to me, I can, when it's released, I say, okay, it's done, and I can try to focus on something else. So this was your reference.
That was the reference, actually.
Yeah. So I just shared in the live stream as well your ArtStation page, portfolio, so the people can look at that. Good thing is we see that you are an organized people. This is an article. This is an article. Okay.
Yeah.
Oops. Let me go back to here. This. Okay. So if I go. Okay. Here I can. So yeah, we can see that everything is well colored. You even make a gradient in the frames. Yeah, you are really organized. That's good. Actually, someone could make maybe that would be good to make a tool that makes an automatic gradient in the. Just saying that, Marco, just to haunt your mind.
Yeah, maybe. I think that is, as you mentioned, I love programming. So maybe the next project is a Python script to make frames in different gradients. But actually, I do it always. I color them differently, and it's just dialing up the hue, having the same settings, and then the first one is hue 0, and the next one is hue 0.1,
okay,
and so on. So I have just a visual, reference where I'm working, and the same color belongs to the same part of the material or of the graph.
Okay, I'm going to.
And I think we will see that later in the.
Yeah.
When I go through a few of my graphs, it's always the same system basically.
Yeah, but this is always good because first, I think by the time sometimes it's a bit you waste a bit of time organizing stuff, but then you're more productive in your graph because you know exactly where things are. Next to this one, guide me a bit. I think we wanted to see the string to color, right? Or just
the string to color, yes. So we go through that in particular later.
Yeah.
Because I of course developed it further. That is one of my I mean, I saw that I'm not as good doing materials like most of the other artists I see on ArtStation or I know from the industry. So I focused more on creating tools for me or for them, or sometimes just talking to someone else and asking him, hey, how can you improve your workflow? Can I create a tool for you? And just be technical support more or less. And that's how it started, that I focused on tools. And one of my basic interests was the gradient node. You see a lot of tutorials doing some gradient samples, and then you have this gradient, and you cannot actually save or make that gradient accessible to the user when you expose the parameters. Like in any other graph, the gradient is more or less fixed, or the colors of the gradient. So I was looking for a way that you can actually put as much colors as you want and as you like into a color gradient, basically. And
That's
that was
super
the
useful.
idea. Was the idea to just have a text input. Like in this case, you just input hex color codes. You can copy them from websites or from color palette stuff, and you can also save this as
this is great.
Let's say a preset. And
just a question. A question on this one. Sorry. So it detects the number of colors you are entering and adapt the spreading, the spreading depending on that.
The spreading is in that case. I have to look how that actually works
because
inside.
It seems to look like that. That's the more you add color, and the spacing between each color is adapted to the number of entries. That's awesome.
Yes. In that case, it works like that. But I have I think 5 or 6 versions where you can vary the spacing, but in this case it's quite easy. You just copy and paste the color another time, and you have the double spacing, for example. And that was basically one experiment. How can I expose colors as much as you want as an artist? If you have a gradient, if you want to expose like really discrete colors, you have to I don't know, you have to limit it to a number. Like at some point you have 32 colors in there, and you scroll through the parameters to set the colors. And I wanted to just create a tool where you have the completely free choice. Do you want to just use 2 colors, or I don't know,
that's crazy.
100?
I'm going to, because I have another thumbnail here where there is the different stuff. So I'm going just to take this one few seconds to share it, to share the link on the, because it's free. This one is one of your free tools. You have some free and paid tools. We're going to look at that after, but this one is free, and I think it's almost a must-have in any tool set for a Substance 3D designer. I honestly didn't know it before you talked to me about that, but that's awesome.
And actually, I'm always open to feedback. So if someone, because I almost always create a tool, and I don't have any real use of it. So if someone uses that tool and has like feedback and says, okay, can you change that, or can you add a parameter to change that? If I have time, and if it's kind of not crashing the node, I will always try to implement it.
You can try one. I'm going to give you one. If you can export to Painter, for example, is to be able to. I made a tool that used the Adobe Color Palette, because you can generate an image, a small image, or even written data, to be able to take this data and to use. This is 5 colors, and I don't know if you know Adobe Color, the website, but it's like a website where you can take inspiration for color palette or create your own color palette. And this way, if we can take as input one image, and you generate this gradient from the color palette, that can be cool, in my opinion. That's my feedback.
Yeah, great. I write it down. So
it's recorded. You don't even need to. Okay, so I can make my shopping list like that during that's good. That's pretty good. Okay, so yeah, this is really an impressive tool, and just you have the link in the chat, and go for it, because look at that. That would save tons of. Especially, I think it can be extremely interesting for product designers who has like extremely specific color. That there may be something to work on. That's awesome. So this is the graph? No. Okay, it's here.
I think that is the coloring of the bricks. I just wanted to have some color variations as well as with the grass, was just to showcase how simple you can color a graph with just 2 or 3 of these text to color nodes.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. This one, so string to color MV for Marco Vitale. We'll make t-shirt with your name. I think that's the next step. Then I think you wanted to show the MV mesh tools. Oh, yes. This one. Well, actually, we're going to look at the mesh tool, then we're going to look at the ocean wave, and this two one Lattice transform and neural network, and we are going to showcase. Marco is going to showcase some of them within Substance 3D Designer, so you can grab some knowledge. So let's go in the mesh tool that I'm going to show here.
I think that was a combination of Python. I wanted to learn Python for quite a while, so I needed some use case to learn Python, and Substance Designer has plugins for Substance Designer can create it in Python. So that was quite my idea to just write a Python script for Substance, and what I wanted to, I wanted to push limits, and I wanted to push boundaries of Designer, and it was like, okay, I see a lot of artists baking height maps from 3D models and importing them into...
Sorry, Marco, I cut you once again. If someone can tell me if when I put in full screen the YouTube video, if you see it well, I will take the... So I'm doing it 1 second. Okay, so just tell me if it works, you see it in full screen. If not, I will stay in the page view. Just tell me if it works, so we can continue. Sorry, Marco.
No problem. I think the idea behind that was that if you have to bake a 3D model or a height map from a 3D model, you have to, when you change something, you have to rebake it again. And I think that is a workflow a lot of people use. And my idea was, and this is still more or less a proof of concept, because no one actually really used that tool and gave me feedback if that works and if it's improving the workflow. But it basically imports an OBJ file, so you can import a 3D model, and it keeps it procedural, so you can use Substance to change the model. Like, you can displace it, you can transform it, you can rotate, even you can morph stuff. When you have 2 OBJ files, you can morph the 2 together, and it renders quite fast for a 3D model rendered in Designer. It's kind of I think I will show you later a graph which is rendering in 1 or 2 seconds or so, but it's using, I think, 100,000 vertices.
Okay.
So it's very fast. The only issue I have with this at the moment is that I'm working on a subsurf modifier, basically, so you can import a low res model, and then you can use some modifiers to improve the resolution and to smoothen out the triangles, basically.
Yeah, that's something funny, because Nicolas Wierman developed the PBR node within Substance 3D Designer, which allows you to render a material with the lighting, but actually it's a node. So, and at some point he was looking at the performance, it was faster than a proper render. So that's what we are using for, in many cases, by the way, to make the render of the materials, because it's faster than most of the solution out there. So by hacking the the software, ultimately he managed to make something really specific, but that works perfectly.
Yeah, and in this case, it's more to create a height map, so you can use that height map for your material, but you don't have to bake it up front. You can just import the original model, and then you use that model inside Designer, and you can rotate it, you can transform it, you can even combine two meshes to one, and it generates the height map for you. And if you have a change, you just go back to the mesh node and you make this little change. And
Impressive.
this is actually using a text input for the vertices and the faces and stuff, so you can also just use that now to create your cube yourself, because you can just type in vertex positions and face indices, and then you're good to create a 3D model inside Designer.
Very cool. Stephen Burns is saying very nice. And I agree in the chat. So yeah, it gives you like stuff like this to show the images, even if it was quite clear with the video, even clearer. But that's crazy. And yeah, personally, I love when I see once again that the tool is taken to make something that no one thought about. That's great. Oops, sorry. Let's go back here. And okay, so let's go back to a realistic material with the ocean wave generator. There is an animation, by the way, and quite nice. It reminds me like a simulation, for example, or RTS simulation. Like it could be within Age of Empires, for example, of this kind of game, which are in isometric view. We have this kind of animated water.
Yeah, and that animated ocean, I know there are some cool implementations with Voronoi or Perlin noises or multiple noises stacked together and have FBM noises as well, but they all just create a height map, which is good for like the animation is quite from far away. You can get away with a height map, but if you have these close-ups, you want these cusps on the waves, because they are what a wave is basically doing. They break, and then you have these sharp little edges. So I wanted to have a way to create a vector displacement map. Basically, it's creating a 3D displacement, and displaces the vertices in 3 dimensions. And for that, you cannot use noises anymore. It's in that case, I used a Fourier transform or inverse Fourier transform with some ocean spectra. I think it was a Tessendorf paper where I got the basic idea. It is, I don't know, I think 12 years or 10 years old. It was I don't know, I think it was a GDC talk about using a fragment shader to render real-time waves in real time. That was the idea.
10 years ago, maybe Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I
tried to find it. I think I have it somewhere in my.
Yes, that's what I was about to ask, where you take the inspiration or the rules, but here it's directly from a technical paper, which is if the technical paper is well written, can give this kind of result, because it's super realistic.
Yeah, that's kind of where almost all my inspiration comes from reading a paper, or finding a paper basically, and look a bit deeper into it, and then try to implement it. Sometimes these are written for shader languages, or I don't know, even JavaScript papers or Python papers, and I always try to implement in Designer. I have like 50 started materials or started projects where it just was stuck at one point because Designer doesn't have that functionality I needed, for example. And the ocean waves generator, the big limit was at that time that you could do it in a maximum resolution of 1K.
Okay.
Because it's iterating over the image or over the texture in a horizontal pass and in a vertical pass, and Designer just crashed after if you increase the resolution.
Designer never crashed.
Okay, it hung.
I'm joking.
So,
I'm joking. It can crash. Yeah, especially in cases like that. We can forgive, I think.
Yeah, and yesterday, as I was preparing for the live stream, I reviewed that material, and now we have the loop in Designer, which adds an extra dimension into a pixel processor. You don't have to build the loop by hand, which I did with this. So I had 1K repetitions of the same loop in the pixel processor, which was not as handy intensive as it is with the loops yet now. And I just tried it in 2K and 4K, and it still works. So the loops made it better. So I will clean up the graph, and I think the next update for the ocean waves generator can handle more than 1K. Yeah,
we do have to rewrite some of the nodes within Designer as well, because some of them can benefit also for using the loop, because it was like, for example, in the non-uniform directional warp, there is like a trail feature, and same thing, it's made by repeating multiple times. When I say multiple, like it's like, I don't know, 50 times or more an operation, and using the loop can help. Next one we want to say, this is actually one from which is still quite famous. Emily Bisset just mentioned it 1 month ago, because she said, I love this one, it's super cool. And actually Emily told me like 1 month ago to who should I invite, and I said, I'd love to have Marco, because he's making some crazy stuff, and I'm curious about how he does that. So Emily, this is for you. We have it. We have the man, the legend. So tell me about this one, about the Lattice transform.
That was actually I have no idea. I actually have no idea how that node came into my mind. I think that example you see here, creating or mapping that material on that pullover, I think that was my task. I just wanted to texture a character for 3D visualization at work. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I used Painter, or I wanted to use Painter, and I didn't get along with Painter quite well. So I asked myself, okay, I can do this in Designer a lot faster. And then I was stuck, because you cannot really transform a texture to an organic shape, for example. And I was like, okay, I was using Photoshop then because it has this lattice transform tool. I just created a material and mapped it in Photoshop, which is, I think, not the way you should do it. And it was finished and it was okay and done for work. And then I came back and was like, okay, I can copy that tool from Photoshop to Designer. And yeah, then I created this lattice transform tool, which showed me a lot of, I had a lot of problems with actually interpolating between these points, because it's all these small quads. You have to calculate them all by hand or in a pixel processor, which is taking a lot of resources. And there I learned a lot of optimizing graphs and how to
the small quads, you said? Okay. I would have thought you would have made an image of the small of the grid and deform it at the same time as the background, but that's interesting.
Yeah, and in the end, I had a quite optimized graph where you can, just choose the resolution you like. If you have a really high resolution, it calculates quite a long time. But if you go like in that video, I just used a few points. And then I think I dialed up the resolution afterwards. So you can work in real time to even de-stretch.
That's what I mean. So the invert way.
So the one is the transform, and the other one is the crop node, basically.
That's cool. That's super nice. And one of the favorite of Emily. So she will be grateful for the rest of her life. Okay, and this one, which makes you win this year the Insanity Award, because actually it's quite insane, so perfect. So there is we're just going to look at the number on the right, if you can see that, but 8,488 pixel processor, more than 4,000 value processor, more than almost 1,000,000 for 400,000 parameters. The SBR size, I think, is the biggest that I have seen. Without it's almost half a gig. What's crazy? The compute time is high, but not that high. 3.5 seconds. It's when I read above, I was expecting to have something way slower than that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think the first working prototype took 70 seconds to compute.
Okay.
So you entered an image, and then you could make a coffee, and then it was finished. But it's actually if you have 8,500 pixel processors, even a millisecond is too much, because then you have like 8 seconds. So this was really all about optimizing the graph.
So let's look at that. It's all of that. That's the biggest one I've seen.
I think that video was was going quite viral.
And just a stupid question: how do you place that by hand? Just placing the nodes and repeating and connecting the dots. Is it something that you do with a Substance Automation toolkit, or you do everything by hand? And
in this case, I did it all by hand, because I actually hate placing so many nodes because it's at some point you forget one important dot or important connection or something, and debugging that monster is kind of you have to redo it basically. So I worked in these sections. As you see, I again colored the different layers, and you can then copy and paste parts of it. So it's I think eight of these nodes could be copied and pasted, and then you just have to connect them to the previous one. But it actually, so I had 2 or 3 I think there were more limitations I had to face, but one limitation actually is I know now that that the maximum graph size you can render by pushing that button render graph in Designer is 32,768.
Okay.
This may be some limit because this graph had to be rendered in 3 parts.
That's crazy. I'm pretty sure the dev who wrote this limitation just laughed writing it because he thought, I'm going to do it because I have to, but no one will reach that. That's okay. We are safe. Then Marco came and broke that dream, their closest dream, and so I am imagining now you understand why it's called the Insanity Award, and also why Marco won it this year, because that's purely insane. But we're going to see it. Which one do you want to live? So what you can do is share your screen, and I'm going on my side to set up this, and we are going to get into Substance 3D Designer to watch a bit some of the tips, tricks from different graphs, not only this one. So let me check. Okay, so no. Okay, let's go here.
Great. So I will use Designer.
On my side I will. Okay, it's just going to fit your screen. There is like a small, we can see it better. The screen press invited. Let me check. Okay, let's move it to the right.
Great. Then I would, I think we start with that crazy graph. I try to open it, and we just dive in.
While you are doing this, on my side I will set up the screen so we see the maximum of what you presented. It's too big, for example.
So
okay.
I also so now we have this model here, and I just it takes quite a while for cooking and linking all the nodes, and then we can go into into the node. Yes. So this image basically of the streetcar, it labeled it correctly. I had one ArtStation comment on this from, I have to look, who was it? Tassin Ullah. He was commenting, nice work, but why?
That's
and I think that's that's a great summary for that node. Actually.
Yeah, but when someone asks you that, you know that it means that you are going to win the Infinity Award. So, which is good news, because that's exactly the point. That okay, it's extremely awesome, but why did you do that? But that's awesome. And actually, Kelly in the chat say, and I should see a doctor. You see there are so many crazy artists. I think you are normal, Vincent. And I'm answering. I'm about to answer that I'm going to build a clinic for you all to put you inside.
Yeah. The idea or the happy accident which led me to that thing was I wanted to build a simple convolution filter, which is quite common in the image processing, traditional image processing. For example, I prepared one node here. This was basically the node I wanted to build.
Can you explain what is a convolution filter for people who has no idea?
Of course. A convolution filter is show it how it works. In this case, we just use that streetcar and plug it into the pixel processor, which is performing an edge detect, a simple edge detector, and it's using a small filter called kernel. In this case, it's a 3x3 kernel, and it offsets or it multiplies that kernel over the whole image and sums them up. And with this technique, you can do a lot of image processing, like an edge detector. You can also do a Gaussian blur, for example, or box blur, or all kinds of these traditional image processing tasks. And I wanted to build because I have this convolution filter, which is also available, I think, on ArtStation. And we just try that node.
Meanwhile, I'm going to check on ArtStation and share the link. I'm putting that on the
If not, I can share a link for that, or I just send you a download link for it later. And I think I have. I think in the ArtStation blog I have a nice animation about that to make it a bit more visual. I have to see if I can share that as well, but I think so. Yeah, you should.
Yes,
see
we can see. Yes.
So this is basically the convolution filter. This is the kernel. In this case, it's just a 3x3 matrix, which is multiplied with the input image, and it's always sliding one pixel after another.
Okay, and then it makes the sum of the value. Okay.
And then these values get multiplied and added, and the result is the center pixel, basically, of the new output. So this was basically the thing I wanted to do. And I had some issues and some here in the convolution filter. These are some tasks you can do with it, like a top Sobel operator, which is part of a Kenny edge detector, which is a quite good edge detector. It's been around for, I don't know, 20 years or so, because it's easy to calculate. And in a pixel processor, it's really fast to calculate something like that, because like in any other programming language, you have to iterate over two loops, basically, which are iterating the thing over the whole image. In a pixel processor, you just offset the image 9 times, and you can calculate it all parallel because it's on a GPU, and it's quite fast. So we go into that node and see how it works. So if we use the center pixel here, this is the offset. Here it's multiplied by 1 pixel basically, and it's added to the position in the pixel processor. So the center pixel is here. This is the original image. And then we offset it 1 pixel to the left,
right,
1 pixel
top,
to the right,
etc.
here 1 pixel to the left, and 1 pixel to the up, right, and so on. So these are the 9 offsets, and these are multiplied with the kernel, and then all get summed up, and the result is basically a convolution filter which calculates in 0.2 milliseconds, which is great for an edge detector and for a blur as well. The problem is, the bigger the kernel gets, the more you have to offset these images. So for example, this one I limited to 9 by 9 kernel size, because that is quite heavy to compute actually then. And I made a Gaussian blur. So this is the original image. This is a Gaussian, and this is a Gaussian blur with 5 pixels, which is very subtle blur, but I use it a lot to soften out some edges or so. And I had some issues with that filter, and I was Googling about convolution filters. And then there was a paper about convolutional neural networks. And I just sat on the sofa and read the paper.
You slept on it.
And was like, okay, I can do this tomorrow maybe. And then I think 5 weeks later, I had this monster graph doing something absolutely not usable for production, but this is the result. And the cool thing is that it's, let's open it in reference.
You open this in reference, you are really
I
hardcore.
hope I don't crash anything, but it works, yes.
And you once again, you even made a gradient of color. You are pushing everything.
So here, this is basically how I start. It's 0 hue, 0.1 hue. The next block is 0.2.
Crazy.
And in this case, it's 1 convolution block, which is always the same color. So I can find my way if I'm working on a node here. I exactly know, okay, this is block 4 because it's green. So
okay.
That was really important for organizing that thing. And what this thing does is nothing else than this convolution filter here, but in multiple dimensions. So it not just offsets the image in 2 dimensions, left, right, top, bottom. It also goes in depth. So, and the problem with the depth,
that's interesting because how do you go in depth if it's a 2D image?
Yeah. The problem with the depth in Designer was I read a lot of papers and I read a lot of tutorials about neural networks and stuff like that. And in Python there is quite a lot of frameworks like PyTorch or TensorFlow or so, and these are working with tensors, which are 4-dimensional. 4-dimensional arrays, basically. So array, you have a 2-dimensional image, and then it puts multiple dimensions in the background to have the depth of the thing. And actually, Designer can do that as well, because we have a maximum of 4 channels per image. So we have a small, tiny 3D representation of that image with RGB.
Okay.
And first I thought, okay, we can use these 4 channels and perform this convolution over the 4 channels, which can actually, I show it to you in the convolution filter here, and we use the color input mode and use that image again. And now we can just do an unshot masking or a box blur. I open that, and it's basically using the red channel, the green channel, the blue channel, and the alpha channel, and merges it again. And all these pixel processors create another convolution over that channel. And in this case, they are just merged together to a RGBA image again, and the neural network adds them all. So all the input channels get added up, so the convolution is not 2-dimensional, it's 3-dimensional, and then it outputs one channel of the output tensor.
Okay, so see, if I understand well, what it does is actually the system is adding is processing extra information from the image and adding them in the 4 different channels and merge them together to continue your work, more or less.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, sorry, I just lost a little bit
you
track,
cannot be lost here because it's too big. Like it's leaving a baby in Disneyland alone. You cannot do that.
So and these filters, like we saw in the simple convolution filter, I have 9 parameters to tune that filter to do something different. So if we go back to that and see our edge detector, basically, when I change one of these values, let's do this to -8 and see what's happening.
Okay.
Now it's just pronouncing the really sharp edges. If I do this to 0, it's filtering out something else. So these little filters can do a lot of stuff to an image, and the neural network has, like I said, 8,500 of these filters.
And when you say 8,500, is they're repeating the same process but with different settings, or it's 8,000? Yes. Which okay, so it's not 8. Nope. Completely different. 8,000 completely different. Okay, cool.
The cool thing is that is basically that one convolution filter I showed, just repeating that process over and over again. Okay. And these parameters are everyone who knows about a little bit about convolutional or neural networks knows that they have to be trained on some data. And what they are actually learning is these numbers for each filter. So in this case, the input of the filter, and these are, for example, in the first layer, I have 64 filters. So the very first layer are the three channels. In this case, it's not RGBA. I developed a system to expand it to the two-dimensional to the 2 dimensions of a Substance Designer. So basically, these are the 3 input channels or the 4 input channels, not in 3 dimensions, in 2 dimensions, just next to each other. And I created a system to read these filters, each one by a pixel processor, because a pixel processor can calculate them all at once. So every pixel processor gets an input here. So we now go into this layer, and I hope I don't crash anything. Yes, I want to open this graph. So this is the convolution filter, which is performing one task on all the inputs and outputting another feature map, so-called. This is the next filter, just with different settings, which are called the weights. This is the next one doing another task, and in the end it outputs, in this case, 64 output maps, which you can see here. Is recognized, all the filters are doing something else. This one is probably highlighting edges. This one is highlighting colors or faces or something. So no one really knows what they are looking for and what they are learning. So this is quite a field which is a bit of a mystery. But this is really cool because you can just see what that filter learns. You just plug into another image and you see what does that special filter, for example, filter. If this one is looking for a green color, then it highlights this, for example, this one, yes. Then it highlights the green color, for example. Maybe it just looks for, I don't know, maybe just for
at the end,
lighting
the result at the end is not that important, I assume, but it's more the comparison at the end with what you have trained before, no, or something like that. Once we have all this image, I think it will look at each of them, and it will look with the same settings, finding the closest one somehow. Yeah,
and this special architecture, the VGG16 model, was one award-winning model in 2012.
Okay.
I picked this because it's still very good performing even to today's standards, and it was one of the first models which is just depending on these convolutional filters without any fancy hacks or something, some stuff. So I could really implement it in Designer, and it was at some point it was just plugging nodes into each other and looking how it works. And these are the weights. So these are the inputs, the learned inputs the model knows, or these are these small filters. So this is the first filter, 3x3. This is the next filter, 3x3. This is the next one. And these increase from layer to layer. So this one had 3 inputs, so 3 filter inputs and 64 outputs. So these are the outputs in the Y direction. In the X direction are my inputs. That was just a convention I took for this filter. The next layer has 64 inputs and is outputting 64 as well. So the weights are a bit bigger. So 64 by 64 by 3x3 filter sizes. So these are all these are values I sample in the pixel processor.
Which it's like entering into the matrix. It's crazy.
It's a bit like that, yes. So we can do. No, I have this already done. So this is basically the pixel processor. It's not that spectacular. It's just...
No, it's not. I'm really disappointed. Yes, it is extremely Impressive.
It's convolute, or it's looping over these input channels here. So in this case, it's 64 times looping of all the input channels and jumping from here to this, to this, to this, to this. This is the first loop. The second loop is the kernel size. So the kernel Y direction, this is the kernel X direction, which is just 3 by 3. So we could have, or I could have made it like I did in this simple example with just.
I have a question after that for you.
Yes.
With the while loop, do you know, because you say here it's 64 times, do you know how many more or less loops like that you have in your graph? Or you have no idea?
No, actually, no.
Because I will explain you why after. Because during the development, we develop feature all the time, and we try to develop useful feature, but sometimes we also want to make sure we don't break anything. And the while adding a loop feature was a bit a debate for a long time, because it was okay, but if we do add while loop or any looping system, people are going to make stuff and it will crash and it will be unstable, and we'll have to, it will make support. But I think with this graph, you push to a limit where we can say to the dev team, okay, this was a good idea because this guy was using like 1,000 of them, making like a 64 loop or more each time, and it works.
It does. It actually does, and it's calculating quite fast. Here it's calculating 256 by 256 in 2.3 milliseconds, which is really a lot. But the cool thing with this model is that after every second block, so you see that the blocks are expanding because more input or the more output maps here, it's 128 output maps.
Okay.
But it's halving the resolution, so the size is only 112 by 112.
Okay.
And this is happening after every block. So after every block, we have a smaller resolution, and the filters learn. So let's go into the block 3, for example. Then it should be only 64 by 64. Yes, 56 by 56. That was a convention in that model, which I didn't understand quite well why they choose an input size of 224 by 224 and not 256, but that was how it was at that time. And it learns all these parameters, and it stores it. The more it reduces the size of the image, it stores these parameters in more and more maps. So these are, I think now we have 256 of these maps. Here now the blocks are getting really big, 28 by 28, but 512 channels deep. And then it at some point it's just 1 pixel by 1 pixel, and that was the major. Here I think this is 14 by 14 pixels, and it's reducing the spatial size. So all the features it found in the beginning, like edges or faces or something like that, it's reducing the position of this feature and just highlighting. So for example, this thing is maybe an edge from the beginning, but it's just telling him, okay, there is some edge at that region of the image.
Yeah.
I don't know where exactly that is. And at the very end, there comes one block. So this is the the last block where
it's like a specific footprint created by your image, like a barcode. That's awesome.
Yeah, special features, which is really only a streetcar has these features, for example. And then this flatten block is that was kind of I think I worked almost 2 weeks on this layer because it's a 25,080 by 1 layer, and the problem is that the resolution maximum is 8K.
Okay, so I don't know if we can say to the dev team, okay, there is a guy who is making this and he would like a way bigger resolution. So you split it in different one, I assume?
I had to spread it into 4 outputs, basically. And in the end, there is this fully connected block where it multiplies these 25,000 pixels by 4,096 filters. So
crazy.
again, learned filters, and this is, you see here, this is quite a big one, yes, and you can't see it.
Yeah, you may want to put the level view so when you pass over, but there are values, I assuming. Yeah, exactly.
So this is basically all the learned parameters for that layer.
Okay, so what?
No, it's not.
This is kind of
data.
Yeah, basically it's not basic at all, but you have generated a system that kind of extract a DNA for an image, whatever image, and then I'm assuming that you are going to make a comparison to this DNA to the closest that you find in a database somehow. By the way, if you have question in the chat, that's one of the first time there is no question. I think people are just watching Dr. Manhattan playing with the universe, and they are scared to ask questions. But yeah, feel free to ask question, of course. But yeah, that's extremely interesting. And I have just a question. Did you think about showing that to the contrary, instead of showing that to people who are using Substance Designer, to show that to people who are learning this kind of artificial intelligence image detection? Because the thing is, to me, before that, I can tell that I didn't know exactly how image recognition was made. I know there was a train base, etc. But here it's super visual. It shows that based on this filter, it creates like this kind of DNA. And then, yeah, I'm assuming, but I may be wrong, that the next step is, okay, let's compare this DNA to what looks the closest to your database, and it will assume that, okay, it's closest to what we train for streetcar, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say this is a visual representation of every step which is taking part in such a big model. And the cool thing is, after these 2 fully connected layers, they are called, where the biggest part of the model, which is using these 500 megabytes of data, are these bitmaps, basically, because that's the learned weights. You can download them for this particular model. You can download them CC0. So this model is basically there's a paper, and you can download all the weights as PyTorch tensors, and then you just have to export it as an EXR file. So you have these weights to bring into the graph. And then here vector matrix multiplications take place, where these matrices get multiplied with the input vector of this size, and it learns that after these 2 blocks, you see that all the features it detects in that image are just dots, just highlighting stuff. And I think in that, yes, this is the last prediction layer where it outputs only 1,000 of them. So it reduces the spatial size to 1,000. And the last layer here where the label is done, it's then weighting all the outputs,
Okay.
and it's guessing which one is the closest one, or the most highlighted one.
Okay.
By just this activation function. It's pretty simple actually. So the math behind that is so incredibly simple. It's just an exponential, and it's multiplied by I think the by the maximum value of these the maximum sum of this input. Then it's multiplied with the exponential of all the inputs divided by that, and then it somehow knows, okay, it has to be this pixel which is highlighted, and this pixel is corresponding to all the
so this is linked to what you have trained before. Okay, that's why.
So this is the list, because some people ask me, how did I bring a designer to actually talk to you and output a word. I cheated. I just took all the.
Well, I don't think it's a cheat. It's like you are taking in this kind of image recognition of whatever. What we call artificial intelligence, it has to be trained with something. It couldn't guess it's a streetcar if you didn't put streetcar before. So what you did, so for example, you took a bunch of streetcars before, you let them, you calculate the DNA. I would call that the DNA. I like the term of the image, and then you try to merge them together so it finds correspondences. How did you do for the learning part?
So in this case, I was a bit lazy. So the VGG16 model is actually a pre-trained model you can just download. So I didn't do any training of it. I just took the original parameters from the original paper. But I'm actually, at the moment, I'm training my own model, which I will implement in Designer in the next few weeks. Because I wanted to see, as well as you asked, I wanted to know how does the training work, and that is, if you understand how it works, it's kind of it's.
You don't
it's
want
clever
to say it.
How
you don't want to say easy, yeah?
No. I will explain. It's quite easy. You just you input at the beginning. You input these parameters are all just random values.
Mm-hmm.
Then you input the first image into that model, and it, for example, it tells you this is a house. Then you tell the model, no, it's not a house, it's a streetcar, and you let the model go with it knows what it is, and you go back to through the whole model, and it adjusts the weights until it thinks, okay, the image is a streetcar.
Yeah.
Then you input the next image of a streetcar, and it tells you, no, this is a dog. And you say, no, it's still a streetcar. You have to adjust the weights again to predict the same outcome.
Oh,
and
okay.
You do that for quite a long time. So always you tell it, okay, say me how good you are, and it is wrong. Then you just say, okay, you are wrong. Do again. And every time you just change the parameters a little bit, so these filters form. And I have
I thought at first it was like when you say, for example, okay, I think it's a dog, and you say no, it's a streetcar. Okay, so I will deactivate some of the prediction, find the correspondences I have with a streetcar and eliminate the one I had with the dog. But that's another way. But that's crazy. And actually, Kelly was asking in the chat, what's the next crazy idea? Well, maybe you have more, but that's one of the one you are talking, like making the learning part. But you may have more.
Excuse me, I didn't understand it. It was a bit
laggy.
No,
Kelly was saying, what's your next big crazy idea? And I say one of it is what you are telling, like teaching, making the learning part of the system. But I said maybe you have more incoming crazy ideas as well, no?
At the moment, it's unfortunately the learning part involves a lot of optimization.
Okay.
The model I'm training right now is just a small model. It's way smaller than this, and it's training for I think 6 weeks, 7 weeks,
Okay.
day and night on Ampere GPU, which is kind of it's just I want to see how this learning process works, and I don't want to just predict, okay, this is a streetcar, or I can show you,
and
because I have them.
The learning, you make it
downloaded
with the designer as well, or because you say 6 weeks to train, or
no.
do you are making it by code? Okay.
That's a Python PyTorch model, which is training on a server somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not. I would love to do this in Designer, but these 100 and I don't know how many parameters it were, but a lot. And these parameters all have to get tuned every step. And to tune that, you have to back propagate every step. So
okay.
In the forward pass, you do a prediction, and in the backward pass, you have to calculate everything the other way around and see if the image you are producing is the same as the one which you are inputting, and then these are leveling out, and then some filters form, and that is simply this is not possible in or I think I don't say it's not possible in Designer. I don't have a way to do that in Designer.
Okay.
For now. But what I can show you is some experiments from the one I'm training right now, because it's not secret what I'm doing. It's just where is it? Yeah. Give me a second.
Sure.
I wanted to see how if I can do a neural network which is generating a normal map from images. So quite a cool application for our field. And these are my first tests. So just input a photo and output a normal map.
Oh yeah, you told me that you know that there is one in Sampler, but you want one to make your own in Designer. So stay tuned.
I wanted to just have this
the
in
result
Designer.
is great. Actually, that would be great after that to compare the result, to give some sweat hands to the dev team. But that's impressive. Huh?
Yeah. So I think it will train for a few weeks longer. Then it's getting also these. For example, here these are still not too good, and this grass, these patches are also lacking of some filter, I think. But it's getting better and better every day. I just download the actual status and try again. Here as well, it learned how to create these stones, but somehow doesn't know how to do this one. I don't know why, and I have no idea how to fix it. It's just training longer, using more data. And actually, the community on Facebook and in Twitter, after that model, or after this one, Simon Wozniak, I hope I spelled it right.
Yeah, I think so.
He was really into can you do that? I help you with everything. And it was like, okay, he was collecting data to train the thing, because what I didn't want to do is using data from somewhere or download it without permission. So I wanted to have a data set which is actually created for training that thing, and not harm any artists, basically, because that is what a lot of big models do, and where I don't agree with.
We see a lot of stories about that, sadly.
So in this case, we collected a lot of data from great artists which are providing photos and photo scans and height maps and really useful stuff, where I was like, okay, great, thank you. I can really use it. Yes, you use it for it. And that was amazing. So thank you to all of the contributors. It's going well.
Nice. That's awesome. There was I'm not sure. I think there was another graph you wanted to show.
Yes, of course. Sorry.
So this was the easy part. No, we're good. No, I'm joking. I don't know what you are going to show, but this one is super interesting, and I'm pretty sure it can also interest, as I said, developers who are working in this field, because the fact that you can visualize how the data evolves, that's awesome. Yeah,
that is actually something I'm preparing right now. I got a question about that, if it's possible to visualize all the filters and stuff like that, to just give a small lecture about how do these things, these bad black boxes we all know, work internally.
Yeah, that was something that was said before. Sometimes we say, I don't know how people were saying it was a bit also to make people solve it. I don't know how it works, but at the end it finds the answer. And here the thing is, you can see how the data is evolving and makes sense. That's great.
Yeah, great. So I will. If there are no questions on the convolution,
no, they are all frozen, I think, by the talent. They say, "Wow!" No, but that's not common. That's, I think, the first time I'm talking with someone who make this kind of stuff within Designer. But that's super interesting, because of course this is a topic which is incredible, because it opens lots of possibilities. And showing that within Substance Designer, I'm pretty sure after the show I will share internally, even if there is some people who are watching it from the team. But I think they should have a look, even at different teams, not only Substance 3D Designer, because this is great.
Yeah, and I have a lot of ideas how to use that in production or in a tool or something. I wanted to the one thing is creating a normal map or a height map or something out of an image. The other thing is shape recognition. Simple thing, like you draw with a SVG node, you draw a circle-ish thing, and it knows, okay, it's a circle, so it has this size, it has this center. I create a real circle for you, something like that.
Oh,
so,
nice.
And these would be very easy, because the models are not that deep and they are not that big. So these could calculate in, I don't know, 200 or 300 milliseconds. That would be a real application of that of that model or of a
yeah,
of
it
a
opens a lot of
convolutional
doors,
neural network.
definitely.
So yes, I prepared some of the other graphs because, of course, we wanted to look into the color,
the string to color.
The string to color, and I think this was the lattice transform. We already looked at it. Yeah.
In the chat, if you want to see something in particular, just say it as well.
Yes, of course. The first thing I want to show is to use, or I used text. So this was the beginning, basically, of how to use text for something in Designer. And here's some simple examples. For example, here just I replaced the 0 with a pattern. I just created a font for Designer. I called it SD pattern font. There is also on my ArtStation blog, there is a small tutorial on how to do that. I think it's called My Tips String to Pattern. ArtStation is now on maintenance. It's here. Yeah, this was the main idea. I found a bit font maker, which you can create your own fonts with a 16 by 16 pixels, and create for every, like web designers use icon fonts, for example. Replace an A with a bird, or replace a 0 with a square.
Okay.
That was the idea, to make a pattern font for Designer. Here's some technical details, how you implement it into the text node, that it's aligned with the grid. You can just follow this short tutorial, and you can create awesome patterns by just typing in some numbers or some letters into the text box, and use the result for, I don't know, weaving patterns, or as I did it, using a floor as a mask for blending two woods together, for example.
That's awesome.
And all just using here some text patterns, and getting these cool pattern outputs.
Wow.
This one is the text is a bit or the pattern is a bit more versatile. So if you can just replace these by zeros, for example,
it changed the world shape. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
there is a suggestion in the chat from Serena Beatrice. It's more for the previous work. It would be great to create a trim sheets with that complicated shapes. I think it was what you were showing before. Yeah.
With a text pattern, or with.
No, I think the one you were showing just before, one or other tools. Yeah, I think so. It was. Can't remember which one it is, but yes.
I will have a look into it. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to ideas.
Yeah, imagine, because we can feel that you don't have any limit. That may be dangerous.
The only limit I may have is sometimes I have no idea what to build, and then I want to build a simple convolution filter and ending up creating a neural network.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of sometimes because actually the convolution filter got finished 4 or 5 weeks after I started to do it.
Yeah, so I think
because I was more into the neural network than into actually doing the convolution filter.
Yeah, so Serena was saying for the image to normal map, so I think it's just taking a bunch of images and converting them into trim sheet. So for example, to generate a height map and normal map, which is a good idea.
Cool. Yeah, that's very great idea. Yeah. So I have to Serena, hi.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, if you have any ideas, I really think we have to occupy Marco, or he will try to control the world. So yeah, please keep him busy with Substance 3D Designer, because he has a mind that can build immensely crazy things. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, creating patterns was the first thing I used the text node for something, because I never knew why this text node is actually in Designer, because I don't know anyone who actually writes text on something, or very few materials use a text input for having text. I think it was just a node to have the possibility to print some text on a material, like I did with the LED stripe, where it is this made by Substance text on it, but I never really had a use case for actually using the text node, and this was the first steps I used it for something something more interesting and something you can.
And how do you convert the text into
the text? And okay, that's the next step. We have to do a little trip around it, and then we go to the text thing. And the next thing I'm really working a lot with is using data or data lists or arrays inside Designer to create something, to keep it procedural, and to have the possibility to manipulate the data and get another outcome. For this, I created a system. I think working with data, I should have it somewhere. If not, I send you a link afterward, and then we can do it in the video description or something. I just write it down. This is I think the Substance data tools. In this case, just easy. This data generates a circle. Just very easy. This manipulates the circle. You see it here. It's altering a few parameters, and now the circle has has a straight line here and hooks and stuff. And this is, I think, it's random. So just with altering the data, the outcome is something different, and that is basically the main node I use in all my tools. Almost every tool uses these basic concepts of using data to store something, and then using a draw node or manipulating the data. And at the beginning, it was I was just using the FX map to create the data for somehow. So in this case, I create a cracks generator, which is using an FX map for the dots, using the dots as centers for the cracks, and then developing the cracks from it. And this led to, these are basically the center points of all the cracks, and this one is starting from these points to generate cracks. And then you can generate the circles as well at the same positions, or do a Voronoi pattern at the same positions, and if I use a random seed, for example, I change the data points, and all the all the other nodes just use the new data.
Okay.
That is one idea, or this is more a programming approach to the whole procedural thing, that you have a list of data and then you convert it to something out of it. And then the idea came to use text for generating that data, and then the string to pattern, string to color, was the next step, and it's generating the data. Open this one by a node I called string to ASCII pattern. Basically, every text input, I just here, then we can take a deeper look inside. So I'll reset the text. I used the same technique I did in the string to pattern technique, because this is a 16 by 16 grid for each letter, and the ASCII table has 256 letters or characters. So I just started, the A is 65, I think, so I just draw 65 points, and the B is 66, and I draw the next 66 points, and then I calculate just the ASCII value out of this text. So if I input, let's say, an A, and I have one small data point here, which is saying 65. 65. If we do a small a, it's 97, I think, right? Yes, it's 97. So basically, compressing this 16 by 16 pixel pattern to 1 pixel adds them all up, and then you have the ASCII code for that letter.
Okay.
So if we do it, if we then use the hashtag symbol, it's 35. Then the logic behind that is just FF00 FFFF. So now we have the color encoded in ASCII values, and this one is just
you use the okay.
So this is basically all the text. I inputted all the color values here. These are all the color values I inputted into this table, and this affix map reads all the. It iterates over the whole input. It decides if there is a 35. So if there is a hashtag, then a new color begins. And then it basically it looks for the next 8 characters.
Okay.
And every 2 characters are a 16-bit value for the color, and then it converts it first to a list of colors. So these are the list of colors which are inputted by the text, and this pixel processor is just accessing these color values and mapping them to the input, basically. So here, this one is really simple, just mapping colors to a grayscale value. But this one is creating the logic. It's reading all the text inputs and generating a color out of it. But as you all may have noticed, I'm not. This was cool. This was a great achievement, I think 2 years ago or something. And then I thought, okay, I have to. I want to see how far can I get with this text input things. So I developed a tool to. I already showed you the mesh input. I have some small examples here.
Oh, okay, yes.
Let's just see what this is. So this is just an OBJ file. I inputted it, and this is basically the input data. It's all the vertices, it's all the UV coordinates, it's the normal coordinates, and the face indices.
Whoa.
And these are converted into vertex indices here. And these are the face indices, then the UV coordinates, the face UVs, and all again by just using the string to array pattern. This time it's a bit bigger and a bit more. The logic behind that is a bit more versatile, because it has to check for different markers, like if there is a V, then a vertex is following, and the vertex can be in like here the vertex are in there can be a minus sign, so the vertex has to be at minus somewhere. So it looks for all the different kinds. The decimal point was kind of challenging to know when there is a decimal, then I have to take all the data I had and divide it by 10 or by whatever, and then it transforms basically all the text into vertices.
Yeah.
And then it uses the draw node to output the rendered mesh or the height map of it. So let's do it out levels. Yeah, okay. And now we can, for example, turn off the auto scale, and we can use that thing, and I think I have a transform node here. Yes, and now we can rotate
That's crazy.
that thing. So just because I know I know the vertices, and I just imported the whole 3D model basically.
And how do you import the mesh data at first?
Let's just do this in a new graph. I created this plugin for Designer, and I have to see where. So give me a second here. I think I have some models, 3D meshes. Yes, here.
Okay, so it's your plugin that converts the OBJ into values that you store in an image, in a bitmap.
No, in text basically.
Text.
So let's do the cube, which is quite easy, and I don't crash anything. It basically does the writing for you, so that the plugin only writes in the text.
It does everything. Not only the vertex position, but also the normal, etc. Wow.
Yeah, it just opens the. Let's see. We have inputted the cube. So you can see here. This is basically the OBJ file opened in a text editor, and what the plugin does, it's just copying these lines and inputting it. So copying this and inputs it here.
Okay.
That's basically what the plugin does. You could do it by hand as well, but I wanted to have a bit easier for the user to import bigger models. Like this cube is not that complicated. It's just a few vertices and a few faces. But when it's getting bigger, like for example the human head or the Stanford bunny, then you have to copy a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
And to keep things a bit more optimized, you don't want to have the vertices just one row after the other. You can even put a vertex behind that. So the plugin uses the space of the text input optimal, basically. So then let's go back to that demo, because I always push the boundaries a bit. So the next one was the input of. Did I crash it now? Yes. Yeah, I think I crashed it. Give me a second. Yeah.
If you are new to if you are new to Substance Designer, this is not how the software is meant to be used at first. This is really, it's more than hardcore usage. It's extremely advanced. This is super impressive, honestly. And of course, in the chat, there is Kelly who knows the software. So we do have people who knows the software, so they know the performance as well. Marco, you are a genius. We can say that. So don't be afraid if it's your. What I would say, if it's your the first time you are watching a tutorial or a video about Substance 3D Designer, bookmark it and come in few years as well to watch it again. And you not only you will understand more things, but also you will see how impressive all this work is, because this is purely impressive.
Yeah. For example, here I imported a whole head, which can actually, if I rotate it, it's not just not just the one, not just the front, it's the back as well.
Yeah, rendering cache. It's weird. Did it freeze? Aha! Did you make it crash? Maybe.
Not again. Excuse me.
Not yet.
I have to. I think maybe I have to. Yeah, it crashed again. This only works with the SBS of the node.
Okay.
If you use the SBSR, which is coming with the plugin, then it works quite well. But maybe we just use the.
Could happen because there is
the different nodes, because it's rendering a lot of data into the cache.
Yeah.
So maybe that is better now. Yes. Yeah. Really sorry about that.
No problem. I would say that your crash, the crash which could happen with your graph can be forgiven to the dev team, because these are like extremely hardcore usage. But that's interesting,
Yeah,
even for us. It almost gives the will to create just a button to say, okay, relaunch again automatically designer where it is.
No, and I think that's why this node is it's so heavy. And Nicola Wirman already asked me if it's possible, for example, to import or to create an image with all the data. So because these input nodes where I convert all the text into data is basically rendering forever, because it's reading. In this case, I think it's 109,000 vertices and 240,000 faces, which is which the node has to convert into data points. And actually, data points, it's not that much. It's for a 2K texture, it's quite less, but it has to convert all the. It's computing 10 seconds to convert all the text into a few data points. So this is the next step to create the plugin that it renders an image of these data points. So the text input component was just to challenge me and designer, and not to actually get used in production, because then every node after that computes quite well. So if you see here the combine node, for example, combines these massive input graphs in like 170 milliseconds, which is for a substance material, it's quite much, but
but
for
this
rendering
kind of usage, it's impressive.
For actually using substance to drawing a high res model, for example. So let's see how this works. Yes, because that was something I wanted to show what you can do with this model, and it's quite high res, so you can
there is
just
also
see a tiny tessellation here and here. But I think if you up the resolution of the model, then I would have another issue that it crashes. And in this case, I just wanted to show that I separated the chin from the rest of the head, and using the combine node to open and close.
So if you animate all of this, you can make a bunch of skulls singing a song rah, rah, like this by animating the jaw. That's do you have like a tile generator for that? Like you can have a bunch of skulls, or would it crash everything? Having like you say, okay, I want 10 times this object. And placed randomly,
like an array node. Yes, I have that. It's not implemented yet because it brings a lot of problems with it. I'm still debugging it, but I have like an array or a mesh splatter node in my drawer, which I'm working on right now. So to just splatter, like you have kind of I don't know. The idea was to have input mesh of a rock or something, and then you displace it or change different parameters of the original mesh, and then you can splatter around. This idea was this was the main idea for this node, actually. So to have one base model and then use designer to modify it, and create arrays, create yeah, like the tile generator, tile sampler.
That's awesome. That's something that people are asking sometimes, like to have this kind of tool, like to be able to not having placing 3D meshes right now. Sometimes they do it in a 3D application where they are going to model the object and create their height map based on that. But here that would work as well, even better.
Excuse me. Yes,
no
and
problem.
the cool thing is that once you have all this data inside, you can just use another. This is a transform node, for example. So let's just duplicate this. This transform node. Yeah, I have to connect these two. And now I can, for example, transform the whole head. And maybe rotate it a little bit in the other direction. Yeah, and
Easy.
have the same model, the same data. So this part is processed once, and you use the procedural power of Substance Designer to just change a few things or a few, and then again here we close the mouth a bit again, and it does it in both of the models because this transform node is before the other both two. So this is a combined node, basically a mesh blend. Yeah, and then you could use this one and use it in another material, or and it actually, yes, I used I also output a mask, which is just yeah,
that's basically impressive.
Basically outputting a binary mask where the model actually is, to blend it in a bit better. And of course what I used here is the string to color pattern to use some cool colors just by inputting text.
That's awesome. Yes, of course. You still have the text control.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I think I made lots of presentation, but that's the one that went the deepest within the tool in a way that is not necessarily predictable, because I saw a lot of beautiful stuff, impressive material, highly technical material, but you are pushing the limits of the software in different ways, which are, yeah, that's awesome. That's purely awesome.
Thank you. I try my best. And
you did well. I don't. Do you want to stop there, or do you want to show some other stuff? It's really up to you.
If we have time, I would go into the ocean.
I have time.
Tutorial, if you like. And yeah, I think after the ocean, the heads of all the viewers are smoking. And
you wanted to tell me. Sorry. No, tell me.
Yeah. Give me a second. I open the ocean material.
If you are watching and you are a Substance 3D designer professional, just remind that Marco is a hobbyist. He does this during his spare time, and it's okay to cry You can cry. You can put yourself under your desk, and crouching and trying to disappear. That's okay, and that's totally understandable. That I am about to do that. That's
Don't do that.
No, I won't, because I will be too far from the microphone, and I am still a professional. But that's really awesome. I'm speechless, because it's really way beyond what I've seen so far with Substance 3D Designer.
Actually, don't cry. Don't do that.
Okay, I'll try.
No. I'm always open to crazy ideas. Sometimes I have them by myself. Sometimes another artist like Andrei Selenko challenges me a lot. He is pushing the limits of designer as well, and really often over the edge. And he's an amazing artist, and he's challenging me. I think most of the time we have like a little friendly competition about one topic, and then who is reaching the goal first, or who is crashing designer the most, or I don't know. That's kind of our game, and that's really fun. So Andre, thank you for that. Pushing each other makes so much fun. No, it's so much fun for doing this and pushing each other. And the cool thing is we often, independently of each other, we create similar things. So I think it started 2 or 3 years ago with a node. He published the day before I wanted to publish it, and it was like, okay, now I have to make my node even better than him, and was texting him like, hey, I did the same thing the last few weeks. How did you manage to finish it faster than me? And I think with a neural network it was the same. He texted me after I published it, hey, I'm reading the same papers, and I'm going deep into the same material at the moment, so we are thinking quite alike, and this is very, very fun. And
that gives impressive results anyhow, because that's what that's impressive, where you are really showing some of possibilities, some of projects within Substance 3D Designer that I'm pretty sure 99.9% of the user never thought it was possible. So that's great.
Probably, but as I told before, I'm not that good in doing materials. I can live with them during my pre-production of my shows, but I would probably never publish or sell any materials I make. I really love challenging myself, and I love helping amazing artists to do a better or faster job by using my tools. And I'm really open to create any tool anyone requests for just challenging me and myself. As long as it has no deadline, like as you said, I'm a hobbyist, so I have 1 hour a day to do Substance stuff. And if you don't need it next week, I try to make everything someone requests. So that said, everyone who wants to have some tools, just send me a text, send me a message, drop an idea and ask.
And 1 hour later, you will have it even more complete than you would have expected.
Probably. And that's something you have to live with as well. Yeah, the ocean waves. I think let's do this a bit more. Come here, height scale a little up so we can see actually something and tessellate it a bit more. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Okay. It's the normal map. Who is not?
Yeah. The problem. I think the problem is that I used the normal map just for the foam.
Okay.
On this material, and the rest is just the height or the displacement map. But the more interesting part is basically how this is generated. As I said, I searched for the links, and I think I have it here. I think it's called FFT Ocean by Tessendorf or something like that.
Okay.
FFT Ocean Tessendorf paper, and there are a lot of implementations on GitHub. For example, in here I found one which is doing the fast Fourier transform to generate realistic waves. This one is quite good. This is very good, and has, yeah, you see where these implementation or water. I think water is, yeah, real-time waves are generated with this technique because it has a cool side effect. Using this technique, it's always tileable. It's basically it can generate something waves. It can generate waves which are realistic because it's using a. Well, let's go into the depth of this. So this is basically the spectrum of the ocean, or of waves inside the ocean. There are two different kind of waves: swell waves, which are the big waves coming from somewhere, and wind waves. And it's generating an initial spectrum, which is called, I think, I used the John swap. And yeah, the local waves are, these are three different wave spectra, like how big, what frequency, what direction, what size, which are really oceanographic wave spectra. These are real numbers from oceanographs collected by, I don't know, viewing waves on a beach. I have no idea how you get these data, but that's actually something you can just Google, and you get John Swab, the Pearson-Moskowitz spectra, and I think these are the three I implemented. There are a lot more spectra, but these are the most important ones. And the implementation is basically the discrete Fourier transform, or in this case, the inverse Fourier transform, which is, you see it here a tiny bit. This is the noise, and the Fourier transform is a technique to transform image, or to decompose an image or a texture into waves, and it's storing points where how to say it, where it's just saying, okay, there is some frequency in the image or some signal in the image, and one data point here is exactly referring to that wave,
Okay.
basically. I try to make it visual with a let's see if I think I thought it is easier to explain, but I think images are always better.
If you can, but yeah, I think it contains more information than just a height map, or it really contains the simulation information of the wave for this point.
So this is the Fourier transform. So the heart, or the core of the ocean waves, and I just show you. Everyone who's into image processing knows the Lena image, and the discrete Fourier transform basically transforms every wave or every frequency in that image into another space, into the Fourier space. So every dot here is corresponding to one frequency in that image. So one a signal. If you think about the image like you're scanning from here to here, like a histogram, or cross section. Cross section is the right node, right? Yeah. So this is basically the wave at the center, and this wave is composed of multiple waves. And the discrete Fourier transform uses, so let's say this hill is a part of a wave which is just going this way, and the sum of multiple frequencies generate different grayscale values. Okay. So if we input a gradient linear, for example, I think put in that, if that would be there, you see the gradient linear is more or less one
uniform, yes,
one uniform or one specific wave. And if we rotate it, this one rotates as well, and if we tile it a bit, you see that the multiple, or you can see where how these waves are transformed into this kind of gray in the Fourier space. So, and if it's more complicated, basically the theory says that every image can get decomposed into the Fourier space, which is storing irrational and imaginary numbers. Imaginary numbers are the bad numbers in math, basically. But it's for every point stands for one frequency in the image, and how this is and how the image is composed. And the Fourier transforms that image into that Fourier space, and the return. So this one is really connected to this, is nothing else than just return that process, and you can really compose the original image again.
Oh, really? Wow.
So, and I did a few tests and looked how noises are, for example, used or created in, or how they look in Fourier space, and how they're recreated again. And this is the whole idea behind that wave spectrum, that you have basically a random noise, or not really random. It's data or a random spectrum in these oceanographic spectra, which are generating then realistic waves. And in this case here, I really used a pixel processor to just generate random numbers, inputted it, and used the inverse Fourier transform, and then it generates these funny noises. So if we use the pixel processor to change the random seed, for example, this noise itself stays similar or is the same, but this special kind of randomness created this pattern. And the cool thing is you can filter it basically in that space and create another pattern. So if we use that blur and changing it, then you see how you can increase or decrease the size of the noise, for example. And just by filtering in that in that space, and that's what this ocean spectrum does. It just filters the ocean or the ocean waves. Here we go back to that. It has a special form in the beginning. This is basically the form, which then gets converted into some random noise with that filter, and this is generating. This is the filter of the noise, and after we plug it into the inverse Fourier transform, you get these displacements in 3 directions, basically, or then these get summed up and divided by the length scale, and I think this one is a lively ocean. Here you can see how this would then look when you transform this into a height map. Then you have really hard high waves, and you can use really realistic numbers. Like in this case, it's the whole thing is 64 by 64 meters, okay. Or and that's why the height here is quite invisible, because if there would be a 1 here, then the wave had a height of 100 meters, which is not realistic anymore. That's why the normal map and the height map here, or the displacement map, are quite shallow. But here you can see these cusps I talked about. Yeah. These hard. Let's see if it can just.
Yeah, because finally using just the Perlin nose was a way to try to fake to get close, but this is a real simulation.
Yeah, this is basically a real simulation of an ocean with these cusps which are forming by moving one wave over the other, and then the wave breaks at that point. And I achieved that by there's a if you up the wind speed, for example, then the waves get really high, and then they form these sharp edges at the top. And the cool thing is the paper also talks about turbulence. So everywhere, this is just basically you can calculate where the foam realistically forms, and this is then transformed into a mask to create the foam. So if we lower the wind speed and the waves get calm again, and we put this a little lower, then the foam on the wave cusps is a bit smaller and calmer. And if we increase the wind speed again, then you see here, this is basically where the foam is the most.
Okay, I'm going to show for 2 seconds the video for people to remind if people were around there at the beginning. So, oh, this is a bit cut here. Okay, so people can see the animated results, which is really impressive.
So I just use a normal map here for showing. Yeah. So even with a normal map, this is quite realistic wave. Yeah. Even if it's just a bit looks a bit like a warped image, because in the end, if you use the vector displacement map, the foam and this cusp would move, of course, because it's not only displaced in the height, it's also displaced in y and x direction. So if you use that as a displacement map in another 3D software and really displace the vertices, not just in Z direction, in all 3 directions, then this cusp would move here, for example.
Yeah, that's impressive. Once again, I love the way you are studying stuff, because once again you didn't rely just of how it looks, but really how it behaves. The result is stunning. Marco, I think we are going to stop there because we are almost at 3 hours, which is not bad. Yeah, actually for us we are beyond, because we met like 1 hour before, but that's purely impressive. I'm going to share our face. So yeah, if you can stop sharing so we can see your face. I'm going to put that here. That's crazy. I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure I won't be able to replicate anything, but that's purely impressive, the way you are pushing stuff. And yeah, once again, you deserve your Insanity Award because you are really insane, Marco. That's crazy. In the chat, if you have any question, don't be shy. There is no bad questions. I have asked a lot. I can understand that you are looking for inspiration, because you are really plunging into crazy stuff. I would think of myself of stuff I can do. Like a few years ago, I remember I made like just a fine edge detect. And I was really proud, and then people were saying, "Oh my God, that's cool," etc. But when we go back to your first graph, your image recognition graph is just a tiny fraction of it somewhere, that you repeat like 1,000 times, but it gives such a good result. But anyhow, I want to say thank you, because it was great to have you, and what you have shown, I think, once again, I'm going to have to make chapters in the video for people to look at everything, but I'm going to share, definitely watch some part again and share with the team, because that was deep. Deep like the ocean material you just made. This one was easy. No, but I don't know if you want to say hi to someone or thanks to someone. That's your moment, so feel free to. You have the mic.
Yeah, I actually, first of all, I want to say thank you for hosting the cool talk, and let me just dive in. And I didn't know that it's almost 9. So
it's been 2 days, Marco. 2 days that we are here together.
No, thank you, Vincent, and thank you all who are watching, especially Serena. I thank you for watching, and Kelly. I love your Lion King. That is just amazing. And if I'm allowed, I would share the Insanity Award with you, because that is awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And also, I don't know if I show it. I don't know if I show your. I'm going to share over your face for a few seconds. Just go to the ArtStation store of. I'm going to share it again. I shared at the beginning. ArtStation store of Marco, because there is some crazy good stuff, either free or paid. But I think first it's quite cheap, not the quality but the price, and I think it's there is some stuff which are really valuable, so feel free to have a look, and that would be great. And Marco, thanks again. We'll talk together soon. I don't speak German, you don't speak Spanish or French, so we'll make it just in English, but that was awesome. I learned a lot of stuff, and yeah, congrats for everything that you do and for this award. I think you deserve it like 1,000 times. You deserve it as much as there is nodes in your graph of your neural network, which means 1,000,000 times. Thanks. Have a good one, and bye everyone. Thanks for watching.